You've done everything right. Oil changes on schedule, tires rotated, brake fluid flushed at the right interval, and yet your Volkswagen feels a little flatter than it used to. The fuel economy has crept down over the last few months, and every once in a while there's a faint hesitation when you put your foot down. Nobody's told you anything is wrong because nothing has thrown a check engine light, but there's a filter buried behind your engine, one that almost no maintenance checklist mentions, and almost no quick lube shop ever touches. And it's been quietly starving your engine of clean air for longer than you think. It's not the air filter under the hood that everyone already knows about. It's the cabin air intake and the secondary filtration most owners never even knew existed, sitting in a spot that requires actually knowing where to look. The filter, everyone forgets exists. Every Volkswagen owner knows, at least vaguely, about the main engine air filter. It sits in a plastic housing near the front of the engine bay. It's easy enough to find, and most people replace it on some rough interval, even if they don't check it as often as they should. What almost nobody thinks about is that the main filter isn't the only thing standing between the outside world and your engine's intake system. On many Volkswagen models, there's a secondary layer of filtration and ducting further downstream, closer to the turbocharger inlet, where debris, leaves, and fine dust can accumulate well after passing the primary filter, particularly if that primary filter has even a small gap in its seal or has started to degrade at the edges. This is separate from the cabin air filter, which most owners have at least heard of even if they neglect it, since it affects something they can directly feel: the smell and airflow coming through the vents. The engine side secondary filtration doesn't announce itself the same way. There's no musty smell, no visibly reduced airflow from a vent. The only sign is a slow, almost imperceptible decline in how the engine breathes, which shows up as a soft loss of power and a fuel economy number that drifts downward over months, rather than dropping all at once. That distinction matters more than it might seem. A cabin filter problem is uncomfortable but harmless to the car itself, so most owners eventually notice and deal with it on their own timeline. An engine-side airflow problem is the opposite. It's invisible day to day, but it's actively working against the engine and the turbocharger every single time you drive, which makes it far more consequential despite being far less noticeable. Why this gets missed so consistently? Part of the reason this area goes unchecked is simply visibility. The main air filter housing is designed to be reasonably accessible because manufacturers know owners and quick service shops need to get to it regularly. The turbo inlet ducting and the area just before the throttle body are not designed with the same accessibility in mind. Getting a clear look often means removing intake ducting, sometimes an engine cover, and in certain Volkswagen models, working around the battery tray or washer fluid reservoir just to see the area in question. A 10-minute glance under the hood simply doesn't reach it. There's also a checklist problem. Most standard service intervals list "Replace engine air filter" as a single-line item, with no mention of inspecting the ducting or the intake tract beyond the filter housing itself. A technician following that checklist, even a conscientious one, swaps the filter, closes the housing, and moves on, because that's what the work order calls for. Nobody's asking them to trace the intake path further back, so nobody does. And debris or a degrading filter seal that's letting unfiltered air bypass the element entirely can go unnoticed for years. This isn't unique to Volkswagen dealerships or independent shops specifically. It's simply how modern service intervals are structured across the industry, built around discrete, billable line items rather than a holistic inspection of an entire system. The filter is a part with a number and a price. The ducting behind it is not treated the same way, because there's no scheduled replacement interval attached to it under normal circumstances, only an assumption that it will hold up for the life of the vehicle unless something obviously fails. Turbocharged Volkswagen engines make this more consequential than it would be on a naturally aspirated car. The turbo relies on a clean, unrestricted, precisely metered volume of air to build boost efficiently. Any restriction upstream, whether from a clogged main filter or debris accumulating past a compromised seal, forces the turbo to work harder to pull the same volume of air through a narrower, effective path. Over time, that added strain doesn't just cost you power, it adds wear to the turbocharger itself, which is a significantly more expensive component to replace than any filter ever will be. There's also a time pressure element that mirrors what happens with plenty of other overlooked maintenance items. A shop working through a full lot of cars on a given day has a strong incentive to complete each job as quickly as the checklist allows. Popping the filter housing, swapping the element, and closing it back up takes a couple of minutes. Tracing several feet of ducting back toward the turbo, checking clamps, And inspecting for hairline cracks in plastic that's been through years of heat cycling takes considerably longer. And it's not billed as a separate line item on most standard service menus. Without a specific reason to look, and without the owner asking directly, it simply doesn't happen. How this actually starves the engine. There are two distinct ways this problem develops, and they produce slightly different symptoms depending on which one is happening in your particular case. The first is straightforward restriction. If the main air filter is neglected for long enough, especially in dusty or high pollen environments, it doesn't just get dirty, it starts to compress and mat down, reducing the effective surface area available for air to pass through. The engine's computer compensates by adjusting fuel trims to maintain the correct air-fuel ratio, but that compensation has limits. And once you're past them, you start to feel it as sluggish throttle response and reduced power, particularly noticeable when accelerating from a stop or merging onto a highway. The second, less obvious path is bypass. This happens when the filter housing itself doesn't seal properly, whether from a cracked housing, a filter that isn't seated correctly after a previous service, or worn gasket material around the edges. In this scenario, the filter might look perfectly clean when you pull it out, which is exactly why this cause gets missed so often. The filter isn't dirty because unfiltered air is finding a path around it rather than through it, which means fine dust and debris are reaching the mass airflow sensor and the turbo inlet directly. This is actually a more damaging scenario in some ways than simple restriction, because it's not just reducing airflow, it's introducing contaminants further into the intake system, where they can affect sensor accuracy and, over the long run, contribute to premature wear inside the turbo itself. The mass airflow sensor is particularly sensitive to this kind of contamination. It works by measuring the exact volume and temperature of air passing over a small heated element, and it relies on that air being clean and consistent to produce an accurate reading. Fine dust settling on that element over time throws off its calibration in a way that isn't always dramatic enough to trigger a fault code, but is more than enough to cause the engine's fuel and timing calculations to drift slightly out of their ideal range. That drift shows up as the same soft, hard-to-pin-down symptoms already described. A little less power, a little worse fuel economy, nothing severe enough on its own to demand attention. Both problems tend to develop slowly enough that owners adapt to them without realizing it. You get used to how your car feels day to day, and a 5 or 10% drop in throttle response over the course of several months doesn't register the way a sudden change would. It's only when you rent a similar car or drive a friend's Volkswagen with a properly maintained intake system that the difference becomes obvious. And by then, most owners assume their own car has simply always felt that way. There's a third factor worth mentioning, which is how the engine's own management system responds to all of this. Modern Volkswagen engines are tuned to adapt within a certain range, quietly adjusting fuel delivery and ignition timing to keep the car driving smoothly, even as conditions drift slightly outside ideal. That adaptability is a genuine engineering strength most of the time, but in this specific case, it works against the owner, because it masks the early stages of the problem instead of announcing them. The car simply compensates and compensates and compensates until it reaches the edge of what the system can correct for. At that point, the drop in performance can feel sudden, even though the underlying cause was building gradually the entire time. Which models are most affected? This issue shows up most often on the same turbocharged 4-cylinder lineup that defines most of the current Volkswagen range, including the Golf, GTI, Jetta, Tiguan, and Atlas, all of which rely on the EA888 or EA211 engine family and their associated turbo intake systems. The tighter, more compact engine bay packaging on these models means the intake ducting often takes a more convoluted path to fit around other components, which creates more seams, more clamps, and more opportunities for a seal to degrade or a section of ducting to develop a small crack that goes unnoticed. Higher mileage vehicles, particularly those that have had aftermarket intake components installed or removed at some point, are worth checking more carefully, since aftermarket parts don't always seal as precisely as the factory-designed ducting they replace. Vehicles that spend significant time in dusty, rural, or high-pollen environments are also more susceptible, simply because there's more material in the air working against the filtration system in the first place. A Volkswagen driven mostly on clean city streets and highways will generally go longer between real problems here than one regularly driven on gravel roads or through construction zones. Age matters just as much as mileage in this particular case. Plastic ducting and rubber sealing edges degrade over time regardless of how many miles have accumulated, simply from repeated exposure to engine bay heat and the natural stiffening that rubber and certain plastics undergo as they age. A 10-year-old Volkswagen with modest mileage can have just as much seal degradation in this area as a much higher mileage car of similar age, which is worth keeping in mind if you've assumed low mileage alone means everything under the hood is still in factory condition. What to actually check and when. The fix starts with treating the intake system as more than just replace the air filter when it's due. When the main filter comes out for its regular service interval, it's worth taking an extra few minutes to inspect the housing itself for cracks and to check that the gasket or sealing edge sits flush all the way around rather than assuming it does, because the housing closes without resistance. A flashlight and a careful look, rather than a quick glance, catches most of the visible problems. Beyond the main housing, having a shop trace the ducting from the filter box back toward the turbo inlet during a more thorough inspection, ideally at the same time as other underhood maintenance like a coolant service or spark plug change, is worth requesting specifically rather than assuming it happens automatically. This isn't typically part of a standard oil change or basic filter swap, so it's reasonable to ask directly whether the shop is willing to pull back the ducting and take a look, particularly if your car has more than 60 or 70,000 miles on it, or if you've noticed any of the gradual power loss described earlier. Timing this alongside work you're already having done is the most efficient way to handle it, since much of the labor involved in accessing this part of the engine bay overlaps with other common services. A shop that already has the engine cover off and ducting loosened for a spark plug change, for instance, is in a much better position to glance at the intake path than one starting from scratch, and asking them to take that extra look while everything is already accessible costs very little in additional time. If you're comfortable doing basic maintenance yourself, this is also something you can check without much specialized equipment. Removing the intake ducting between the filter box and the turbo is usually a matter of loosening a few hose clamps, and once it's off, a visual inspection for cracks, loose seals, or any debris sitting inside the tube itself tells you most of what you need to know. Reinstalling it correctly, with clamps tightened evenly and the ducting seated fully into its connection points, matters just as much as the inspection itself, since a poorly reseated duct can introduce the exact bypass problem you were checking for in the first place. While you have things apart, it's also worth running a finger gently along the inside edge of the filter housing itself, where the filter's foam or rubber gasket makes contact with the plastic frame. Any stiffness, cracking, or a section that feels compressed and permanently flattened compared to the rest of the seal is worth noting, since that's exactly the kind of wear that lets unfiltered air slip past even when the filter element itself looks brand new. A small amount of light dust or a fine film just inside the housing past the filter, in the area that should be clean if the seal is doing its job, is one of the clearest signs that bypass has been happening. It's also worth paying attention to how your car feels for a week or two after any intake-related service, whether that's a filter change, a duct inspection, or work done nearby for an unrelated repair. A noticeable improvement in throttle response or a slightly quieter turbo whine under acceleration is a good sign that airflow was more restricted than anyone realized. If nothing changes, that's useful information too, since it suggests the issue, if there is one, lies somewhere else in the intake path rather than at the point that was serviced. The bottom line. Most Volkswagen owners think they're covering their bases by swapping the engine air filter on schedule, and in fairness, that's a real and necessary part of maintaining clean airflow into the engine. But the filter itself is only one piece of a longer path, and the ducting, seals, and housing surrounding it rarely get the same attention, mostly because nobody's checklist asks for it and because the symptoms of a problem back there develop slowly enough to hide in plain sight. The upside is that checking this costs very little. It doesn't require special tools, it doesn't take much time once you know where to look, and catching a cracked housing or a degrading seal early prevents the kind of slow, cumulative strain that eventually shows up as reduced power, worse fuel economy, or added wear on a turbocharger that's far more expensive to replace than any filter or gasket ever will be. It's a small thing to overlook precisely because it's designed to be out of sight, and because nothing about a slowly restricting or slightly leaking intake path announces itself the way a warning light does. But engines are honest machines in their own way. They perform exactly as well as the air, fuel, and spark reaching them allow. And if one of those three has been quietly compromised for months without your knowledge, the car will always feel a little less like itself than it should. Next time your air filter comes up for replacement, don't stop at the housing. Take the extra few minutes to trace the path the air actually takes on its way into your engine. And you might find the real problem was never the filter at all.